Detective Miller, the tech said, his voice shaking. We identified the substance in the needle. 5. The room went very, very still. Conrad's hand dropped from where he'd raised it, his face cycling through several expressions in rapid succession: anger, surprise, and finally something that looked almost like concern. But not concern for me. Concern for himself. What did you find? Detective Miller asked, stepping forward. The forensic technician, a young man named Chin, according to his ID badge, swallowed hard. He glanced at Conrad, then back at Miller, then at the report in his hands as if it might burst into flames. Preliminary analysis shows the residue inside the needle barrel is not ink, Chin said, his voice carefully neutral. It appears to be a biological solution, protein-based, with markers consistent with certain experimental compounds. Speak English, Miller snapped. Chin took a breath. It's not a standard pharmaceutical. There are markers suggesting it's a custom formulation. We're running the full talk screen now, but based on the initial results. He paused, choosing his words with visible care. Whatever is in that needle, it wasn't bought at a flea market. It came from a lab. Vanessa's face had gone pale. Not the theatrical paleness of her earlier performance, but a genuine, blood-draining whiteness that made her look like she might be sick. That's impossible, she said, her voice shrill. It's just a needle. I told you, I found it. I thought it was for crafts. You found a custom biological formulation in a veterinary-grade needle at a flea market? Miller's voice was flat with disbelief. That's your story? It's the truth. Vanessa's voice cracked. She grabbed Conrad's arm, her manicured fingers digging into his sleeve. Conrad, tell them. Tell them it's a mistake. You're the one who... She stopped. The room noticed. You're the one who what? Miller asked, his eyes narrowing. Conrad shook her off, his jaw tight. My wife is distraught. She doesn't know what she's saying. This is clearly a misunderstanding. The needle has nothing to do with me. You just said you'd cover my medical bills, I said quietly. Funny, isn't it? You walked in here offering me money before anyone even knew what was in the needle. Almost like you already knew there might be something to cover up. Conrad's eyes snapped to me. For a moment, the mask slipped, and I saw something ugly underneath. Something that looked almost like fear. I offered you compensation out of decency, he said, his voice controlled. My wife and son were involved in an incident. I wanted to make it right. You wanted to make it go away. I corrected. There's a difference. One of the lawyers, the sharper one, with the silver hair and the $1,000 glasses, stepped forward. Detective, my client has been more than cooperative. If there's been some kind of mistake, we're happy to assist in clarifying the record. But my client has pressing business to attend to, and I really must insist. Your client isn't going anywhere, Miller said, his voice hardening. Not until I understand what happened in that theater, he turned to Chin. That talk screen. How long? 24 hours, minimum. Maybe 48 if the compounds are complex. Then we wait. Miller pulled out a chair and sat down heavily, his eyes fixed on Conrad. Mr. Hughes, I'm going to ask you to stay. Just for a little while. I'm sure you understand. Conrad's face was stone, but his hands, resting on the table, were trembling.